Oh, there you We're live. There you go. Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Shanny.
Hello, Brendon.
Hello, darling. So, I was like racking my brain with what to call this live, and then this just popped out of my head. What choice do you have when you've already chosen? So, let's see where we get to with that. But I really kind of want to announce the subtext.
Yeah, that feels more fun.
So we are doing, Shannon and I are going to be co-facilitating a 3-day body class coming up in Switzerland at somewhere that I have no idea how to pronounce.
Villars de Olon.
Wow. And it's beautiful. Oh my God. And so we wanted to, definitely mention that straight up because that's, why not? It's amazing. And this place is beautiful. I've been checking it out and oh my God.
Yeah, so it's in the French Swiss Alps. It's in the Swiss Alps, but it's in the French-speaking side of the Swiss Alps. And I've been there several times for multiple different kinds of classes over the years. And it is truly a summer mountain heaven. And Brendon and I were putting on body classes within a couple weeks of each other, like within 2 hours of each other. And we were like, why don't we just join forces? So it's really fun. We've literally never have we co-facilitated before?
Not that I remember. But I kind of feel like brand new over the last few years. So there's a lot of things that are a little hazy in my world, So I don't think so. No.
Okay. So we're going to be there. We invite you all to really this beautiful space and place and what else is possible.
Yeah. And also the 3-day body classes they've been so different for me personally lately facilitating them. Like what I've noticed is I remember when I first started and people would get in there and, everything would be about trying to figure it out and trying to, get the answer. And what I notice now is people just going, okay, and receiving from a different space.
And when we access our bodies through these hands-on body processes, it accesses the fabric of the universe. We don't just embody our bodies, like hopefully we're embodying our bodies. And that's a bigger conversation about are you even connected to your body? But our body is part of oneness. It's literally an organism of the earth. So when you access greater consciousness through your body, when you choose with your body, it isn't just altering your body. And yes, will your body feel better? Absolutely. Will your body feel lighter? Absolutely. Will stuff that's been a problem chronically or acutely in your body change? Most likely. That's the most feedback we get about the body processes. The least feedback, the greatest feedback is the whole way that someone relates to their world and their life is different.
Yeah.
That's on the personal level, but the body processes are a direct connection to the earth because you're dealing with the body, which is an organism of the earth, which I don't know if anyone's noticed, but we live in a world right now where everyone is really freaked out and in their head most of the time.
And dedicated to answer.
Which is a head problem, in my opinion.
Which is definitely a head problem. There was one part you said at the start of that about the body processes that I had this really interesting experience over the weekend. I've been catching up with family, and my nephew had a daughter. She's 6 months old, and I knew I had to meet this little creature, and so I met her and I held her and I was just like, okay, take any energy that I can contribute to you and your body. And it was so funny because for me, I could just feel her sucking energy. And then after about 20 minutes, I gave her to somebody else and she started screaming. And I went over and I just grabbed her little hand and I was like, hey, I just want you to know that I don't have to be holding you for you to get this energy. You can ask for it. And it was so interesting after that. About a couple of hours after seeing them, my body tanked and I was just like, what is going on? And it wasn't until I really started asking questions, I go, oh, this little creature is still pulling energy from me. What am I refusing to give her?
Mm.
The interesting part was I was listening to Dane sent out this audio where he was talking about the beginnings of access. Actually, no, it was to do with that. But Gary was on his Conversations in Consciousness call, and he was talking about how in the beginning of access, he, without going into the story, he had this thing show up where he ended up in hospital, and the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong with him. They just knew his body was dying. He said one thing in this call that stuck. He said, the reason the doctors couldn't find what was wrong with me was because it was not of this reality. And I realized when I heard that, I was like, oh, I had made healing and even these body processes and different tools and stuff that I use to some degree part of this reality, and tried to use them that way. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh, the doctors couldn't find it because it was not of this reality. What am I not getting to because I'm trying to make it fit or work through reality?
Thank you for that. Thank you for repeating that and bringing that up through your words and your universe, because that's so exciting. It's the thing where I became more aware through the access over the years, if these have been years, through choice. Let's say through choice. Actually, I became more aware through choice that the body isn't what we think it is, and putting it in that, making that indication of sometimes our bodies are demonstrating or exhibiting stuff that no one has a clue about because it isn't of this reality. And you could even go down the rabbit hole with that, with this reality diagnoses. Like, we think, like, you can call it multiple sclerosis, or you can call it edema, or you can call it all sorts of things. Okay, so but why? Why is the body expressing this stuff? And if you look at the body through the lens of consciousness or oneness, what if our bodies are expressing psychic awareness or information about the earth or information about somebody else's body? Like your body was telling you about that little baby's body who was really sucking energy from you because she was willing to have a different reality, and you were offering that.
Yeah. And it was so, because the other thing that, let me see if I can put words to it, but the other thing I realized with things like that, because when something like that for me, when it pops, it kind of pops in all of these different areas for me. And one of them being also knowing, like where I've tried to have a knowing of what I've tried to define in reality that doesn't allow me to have access to the actual knowing. And I realized with using this wonderful little creature as an example, I knew without a doubt what was going on energetically. Like I just knew. But if I had to try and put that into words to family or, people, or try and...
You put it into words for us.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, apparently you can put things into words. But it was it. But usually I would try and find a way to put it into words that would match
this reality.
Right.
Right. But so it's like really cool just to refocus on even this energy experience through your body with this other little, you keep calling her a little creature, this little baby's body. How old is she?
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, and she's so cute.
It's so, one of the things that I find interesting about that story is that, number one, you wanted to offer a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew you could. That in and of itself is outside this reality.
That's true. That's so true, isn't it? And it's interesting that as an acknowledgement, because you talk about this reality and beyond this reality, and it's got sometimes it can have such an interesting energy to it of like, well, what do you mean, like beyond this reality? But you just said it perfectly. That is an acknowledgement. in and as itself.
And then on top of that, number one, you wanted to gift, which let's just like take a moment to marvel at the wonder of that there is a possibility of gifting of our beings, of energy,
Yeah.
and that there
Yeah.
are people in the world who want to be a gift, because we all know people who are assholes. And is that a gift? That's a different kind of gift. So you wanted to be a gift and you knew you could. That's two pretty cool things. Then the whole energy flow where she was still pulling from you hours later. And even what that indicates to me is that you were literally changing her entire lifetime.
Yeah.
And if we were gifted the energies that our bodies required for their lifetimes to thrive, to be happy, to work well, what would that be like? And if we could be this little, 6-month-old, because somewhere in our cells and our bodies, we still have those cells when we were 6 months old. What kind of a gift could the access body processes be? Could consciousness be? Could your partner in your access body process class be to change the future of your body, but even potentially unlock you from past diminishment of your body?
Yeah. Well, I love that also with the thing with the past. It's been interesting being, I've been in Australia for a couple of weeks now after not being here for 5.5 months. I mean, 5.5 years, and changing a lot, and getting here again. First thing I noticed was, wow, I need to actually acknowledge how much I've changed. But the thing that I noticed with being here is also how healing it is. Also, that was not. Oh, actually, in saying that, it's not. So many things in my head. It's always been healing. I know the land here is so different, and it's always been healing. But I think that the difference with me this time is my ability to receive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I remember having a conversation with your dad once, and I'd just gotten sober, just began, and and I was just like, man, I was apologizing to him because I was like, you tried to gift me so much, and I wouldn't receive it, and he stopped me and he said, it wasn't that you wouldn't receive it, it was that you couldn't, and that switch of words that he did was such a gift to me, because I see, and even looking at this, like a lot of people would go, oh man, that that baby, could receive that, but I wouldn't receive that because I couldn't make sense of it, or whatever the reason and justification is. But it's not that we wouldn't, it's that we couldn't. And the couldn't is based on how much have you been invalidated for any of those things, that you could actually receive something like that from another person. And he blew me away when he said that, because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what's it going to take to change that shit? And you want to know something else really cool for all of you thrill seekers out there? We've got 3 new body processes in this class now, and they are 3 of my favorite processes, actually. Especially there's one that, well, there's one that is an energy of the land here in Australia. The Uluru process that you've probably heard of, Shannon. You know about that one. But it's been that energy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I agree. The fun is accessing energy for me. And the body processes are something that sometimes people have no reference point for, especially since the majority of people are coming to the body classes as adults after a life of invalidating not only their bodies and having their bodies judged by themselves and others, but also invalidation of consciousness and energy. And energy is free, but most people aren't really allowing or having the possibility of free, available, unlimited energy in their lives, let alone in their bodies. And when we start to look at that as a reality and a possibility, how does that change what we believe is the inevitable demise of our bodies? And what if our bodies could grow greater like a tree rather than lesser? That, is the thing. And Brendon and I are literally talking about a different reality. We're not talking about, I think that that's it. We find it difficult to talk about these processes a lot of the time because they are so far outside of people's control matrices and what they desperately want to believe is real and true about reality and what they're subject to and the choices they don't have.
I found it difficult to talk about pretty much everything these days. My talker has just been busted up big time lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just what? What happened? When is this class? This class is so soon, 27th of June. I think the link's already in this chat, but the class is coming up quickly. And who's excited? I am.
I'm excited too. I love Switzerland, and Brendon and I have never facilitated before, and I've
never been there.
Just Switzerland?
No.
Ooh. Well, you're in for quite a treat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. In my humble opinion, the Swiss Alps, particularly the German Swiss Alps, I think are like my top 3 most beautiful places on earth. The French Swiss Alps are also absolutely dazzling, but the German ones, they're that side. Eastern Switzerland is like, it's a whole other planet. It's in my opinion, heaven.
All right. I look forward to it. Are you pondering?
Well, I'm looking at what choice do you have when you've already chosen that question.
Yeah, well, that actually came from you and I were, you called me about putting this class on and doing it together. And then I noticed for you talked about different things that came up with, well, I've already chosen this class and, I've got these commitments and these commitments. But I see that where, I saw where I do that as well. And with the creation of a lot of my life, I've chosen this. So this is what I have to do. I've made this choice. This is what I'm sticking to, which it doesn't work too well with giving you an awareness of what other choices that you have. And so I put that there and we could see if we could go somewhere with it.
Well, it's interesting the way you're talking about it, because the way I read what you wrote was like, well, basically you're talking about, anyways, the way I read what you wrote was misunderstanding what choice is in the first place. And right. Like you just indicated, like in the way that you described it, when you make a decision or a commitment, I mean, I guess those are forms of choices, but choice is free and infinite. We literally have infinite choice. There is no end of choosing, sort of just like breathing. You don't just breathe once. That's like how essential choice is. It's as essential as breath or your heartbeat, and it's as free and as easy as those as well. But we're not raised to access choice with that much ease. We're raised mostly told that we don't have choice, which is why most people, now I'm going to be a little bit direct and slightly harsh, why most people feel like they're dying or like they just can't get their life to work or get unlimited or get happy. It's this, they are suffocating to death from lack of choice. And who gives us permission to choose?
Well, what's interesting is I had the weirdest day today. I was just like, I had one of those days where it wasn't even it was more than no desire to choose. It was a desire to just avoid everything that I could choose. You know, one of those days where you just want to be like, can the world just leave me the fuck alone? I was having one of those days.
And I don't relate to those exactly, but my husband definitely would relate to that. So
right. Well, I see it's very different now. In the past, I would give into it. And so today I was like using, questions, tools. Who does it belong to? What is this? What do I do with it? And going through all of these different tools that I have, and nothing was seeming to change it. And the awareness that I got to was choice. And as soon as I went, okay, what can I choose right now? Just anything. Just purely for choice, for making a choice. And I made this video for this class that I have coming up. And then boom, another thing showed up. And then I talked to someone, and then it was so interesting to see how quickly the energy shifted, and also how quickly more choices were available based on me making one choice. And it wasn't until a couple of hours later, I was sitting there working on something, and I was just pondering, I was like, I wonder what my day would have been like today if I would have given into that, if I wouldn't have made that choice. Mm-hmm. And for me, because see, I got brought up in a way that it was just avoid everything that you can't control, and then hopefully somebody else will do it for you. That was it.
You're hitting a lot of nails on the head. I don't know if anybody's really hit. Brendon, you've said like 3 kind of like profound things.
I love that you're who are you looking at, Shannon?
wait for it.
So good. Hello, Max.
We were
Max a million, brother.
We were literally talking about that yesterday, about control. Well, Max was. Thank you for saying it. It's a theme.
Yeah, but he's also a humanoid man, and there are similarities in looking at we're all so unique as beings, but man, do we have similarities when it comes to different things, like where you see something in another and you're like, oh, holy fuck, everything you just talked about is exactly everything I do. And it almost sounds so simple, but it's like you said, choice is free. We all have it as an availability. You could go to, well, I couldn't choose this. I couldn't choose to, go to this class, or I couldn't choose to travel, or I couldn't choose to start this thing. But that's the thing that kills us, thinking that choice is something that must have the roadmap in place before you can actually put the first foot down. Well, wait a minute, but I can't choose that until I figure out how am I going to have the money, and how's this going to work out, and how am I going to get there, and all of these different things, rather than I'm having that. I've been, I'm going to tell you all this because why not? I've been like I said, I've been in Australia, and for some reason I've just been like, I'm going to play the lottery. They got the lottery here. They got the lottery everywhere, but for some reason I just pay more attention in Australia. And so I've been putting the lottery on every week. And last night it jackpotted at $70 million, right? And I'm just going, I'm going to win this thing, and it was so cool because when I looked this morning, the jackpot had went off, and I was so grateful that somebody got it. That for me also was so different, because in the past I would have been like, oh, fuck, like, why didn't I get it? But for me, one of the things I've had to learn about choice is once you choose, if you're willing to be or do whatever it takes to allow the universe to contribute to that choice actualizing, whatever. It's like the rest of it's not relevant.
Which is what I hear you saying, is that when you choose, you have to let the universe provide in the way it can, and to do your best not to impede the infinite possibilities from actualizing in the way that they can, when they can.
Yeah. Well, totally. And, one of the things that I remember one of the things Gary used to say a lot in classes, one choice or one decision from unconsciousness would cost you 10 billion years of pain and suffering.
10 seconds of unconsciousness equals 100,000 years of pain and suffering.
There you go. That one. And I was like, what? But it's so much of that's energetic. One of my processes I run every day now is every conclusion I came to today that destroys my tomorrow, I now destroy and uncreate all that shit. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 100 shorts, boys, povos, creations, basies, and beyonds. Because I'm like, I probably came to 1,000 and I don't even know what they were.
Well, but I love that. That's yeah, exactly. But this is spoken by people who have been consciously willing and sometimes unwilling pupils of consciousness. And when I love the willingness to stumble into what's possible.
Yeah.
Because then you can't control it. If you're stumbling, then you just give yourself permission. Well, I'm just going to stumble into this, whatever this can be. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if you're stumbling, there's so much. Oh, I've got a question. How much do you stumble to avoid your tendencies to control? I just am realizing it's like, yeah. Anyways.
Well, even on the topic of control, though, like it's huge, because you could pull one thread of control and look at, maybe the control you might like to have over another person, or maybe the control you like to do with money, or maybe the control. But it's like, what I've learned as I've, taken the shovel to digging at that one is it is so much bigger than that in the control of the control that is required in order to not be present in each moment is that for me has been something to explore, because I know for me, in order to have what I know is available to create from and choose as, it doesn't come unless I'm willing to be present. And the control that I have to do in order to not be is lots. And blah, 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 blah.
Max heard you.
Max heard me. That's so good.
Someone heard you.
Don't worry, Max. I got you, brother.
Your efforts are not in vain.
Well, this whole thing is a journey for me, and it is for all of us.
Choice never ends.
Choice never ends. And, just that.
Choice never ends. And if I could have like one magic wish, it would be for everyone to be happy. And that's really the whole impetus.
I thought you were going to say for me to win the lotto. Damn.
Well, what I love about the ask, wish, ambition, desire for everyone to be happy is that it then all the subterranean of what equals happy can be so many things. Like winning the lottery might make you happy for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, a year, 5 years. Like, okay. But if you're happy forever, then what else contributes to that as a reality? It's just so much, happiness is just so much bigger than it's so much bigger. It's like, so that's the whole ambition for me. That's the whole point of facilitating access is for everyone to be happy, which no expectation. If you want to come to class and not be happy, that's completely allowed too, right? Oneness includes everything and judges nothing. So on the body class note, because that's what Brendon and I are working towards, it's like, what would it take? What would it be like if what would it be like if your body was happy every day, or a few more hours every day? Is your body happy? Is it possible to have a happy body? Are you allowed to have a happy body? What could and would a happy body create in the world? Will you let your body be happy? And if you want to have a happier body, please come and join us. These access body processes are so dynamic for at the very least, making your body happy. And if that's worth it to you, come play with us in Switzerland, please.
Please, please, please. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
And the other, here, kitty kitties. And the other thing is that Brendon and I are so dissimilar. I am so fascinated by what facilitating together will be like, because we're really not similar. I can't, so I'm looking forward to being different and having something different and combining our energies, because the output.
Me too. Sure. And co-facilitating years ago, I used to try and look at how do we come together to do this in a way that basically it was about coming together. Like, how do we have that similar, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's like, now I love the difference. I think it's such a wonderful contribution and for all of us, because the other beautiful thing, the conversations in consciousness thing that Gary does, it's so different. It is such a different thing. And I love it. And I love this call that he did. And one of the things I realized with that, along with that other awareness that I have, is Gary, a lot of people try and do access like Gary. And they see how Gary does access and they're like, okay, that's the way that I need to do consciousness, but he's never asked for that. And one of the things I realized also is each and every one of us, with our approach to these tools and the way that we use them, is so unique. And I love that. I love seeing people that take them and run with just the way that they are, and the way that they use them is so different. And that's part of what I see as access and the future. And I think it's awesome.
Nice one. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well,
wow.
Anything else?
No.
Well,
I think my brain is complete.
And I'm hungry. So I'd like to go have my breakfast.
That Max will be cooking?
No, he had a breakfast salad and I didn't want it. So I'm cooking something for myself.
I just need help with what that word is on the bottom comment. And then we can end this live. But until I figure out what that word is, we cannot end this live.
Do you think that it's a word we don't know, or do you think she's combining two words, or do you think it's a
I don't know. That's why it just grabbed me, and I was like,
it again. Max wants to see it.
Yeah, okay, we need
this word, philosophis.
You're philosophical. I think it's part German.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay. I figured it was German.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take that then. Thank you very much, Irene. Okay, now I can sleep easy tonight knowing that part. Yes, so I'd have been like, philosophisch. I like it. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you all for listening. And what else is possible?
See you soon. Goodbye.
See you soon. Bye, guys.